1936, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights among men, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form, gotta turn the page, whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Now that's the fifth of the self-evident truths. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world, and there follows a list of some 33 bad things that the king has done. Here's a few. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. And so on and so on. It's a long list. And there's one that I'm looking for. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Oh, here it is. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, given his assent to their acts or pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should have committed on the inhabitants of these states, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of jury by trial, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. I believe he's talking about my hometown of Milton, which was not just a Tory town, but a home for the governors and their and military, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, altering fundamentally the forms of our government. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. And this is the last one I will read. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. Now I call that ornery.
That's right.
Okay, yeah. And it goes on as if there were anything more to say. This is Jefferson. Historically, some of these have been quibbled with or disproved or so forth, but not that one. And so on. And it's an honor to read the Declaration of Independence.
Don't you have the part about we pledge our lives? I mean,
I can go on.
the part, yeah, like we bring it all home. Like he's done all this,
The
and
conclusion.
then therefore we,
And then the conclusion.
Where's your declaration?
Yeah, we need the declaration.
we ought to
You know,
be.
we still haven't got to the Declaration.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
We've got the whole setup. Whenever
Yes.
any government becomes destructive, this government is destructive.
It's
We
been established.
must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, that all the political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Woo.
Hey, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
That would seem to indicate that each state has those rights. That each one can wage war, like South Carolina can attack North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know how that works out.
That's pretty much spelled out that like each one is a country.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
She write a strongly worded letter.